I'm reading the complete prose by Woody Allen.
I'm reading Memoirs of Geisha by Arthur Golden.
I'm currently reading Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari.
I'm reading Française by Irene Nemirovsky.
I'm reading this book, Les Misérables, which is from Victor Hugo.
I'm reading The Inglorious Empire by Shashi Tharoor.
I'm reading a novel called The Man Who Loved Dogs by Leonardo Padura.
Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie.
The Witch by Camilla Läckberg.
It's based on a speech they did at Oxford Union, which is about whether Britain should pay reparations to India and all of its other colonies. It's been really interesting. It's quite a controversial book, but highly recommend if you want to find out a bit of history about India and the British Empire.
So it's about different families of different social backgrounds and how they reacted and how they fled during the German invasion of France in 1940.
So the book is the story of the guy who assassinated Trotsky. So it's like three novels at the same time. You have the story of the writer, who is a Cuban and who talks about the context of Cuba in the 90s. And you have the story of the guy who killed Trotsky, was a Spanish man. And the story of Trotsky was exiled from the USSR to Mexico. It's very good to see how the three stories just at some point converge to a common history.
During the revolutionary period in France, this was right after the Napoleonic Wars, and it's an interesting book in the sense that although a lot of books look at revolutions and religion and look at how the family system was evolving during France during that revolutionary period, I think it's the only book that ties it in together in this narrative of what it is to live at the bottom of the food chain in France. And the reason I found it very interesting is because its critique on religion, its critique on France, and its critique on nationhood in general, which is woven into a very good story narrative, something which really got to me. It's the only bad thing about it is it's like the third longest book in English literature, so I'm probably not doing well at LSE exams this year, but that's it.
And I think it's just really witty and pretty funny and very off-kilter, so that's why I enjoy it.
I'm reading Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie, and it's a great book because it explores the theme of home, at least for the little part that I've read anyway. A great imagery and also great language, where it looks at a medical student who went home to become, a doctor, but also explains the kind of cultural shifts that he's gone through and the way that he feels like his original society doesn't accept him because of the new values that he's acquired, and also how as a person he's changed because he doesn't know where home is. I think that resonates a lot with me as an international student, and I think these are themes that transcends nationalities and boundaries, and the kind of colonial history that it kind of ties in within the book is also something that adds a lot of depth to the kind of analysis and also imagery that it builds. Yeah.
So the book I'm currently reading is The Witch by Camilla Läckberg, who is a Swedish novelist. The thing I love about this book, it's mostly the fact that Camilla has developed over 9 books the same characters, a writer that writes about crimes, and her husband is a detective, so it's always linked together, and that's what I love about that. And the thing is, they have the same characters. Every book has the same characters, but every book there is a different crime, and even though you think that there's not that much to it in terms of crime, that everything's been done or written about, it has not, and that's what I like about that. It's very dark, very twisted, but in a creative and fun way sometimes.
So the book is basically about explaining how human existence, like Homo sapiens existence, came to be, and how hundreds of thousands of years ago there was more type of Homo species, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalis, and like how Homo sapiens, the species that we are, came to be the most successful species. And it opens a lot of insight into how culture and communication and different things all work together to make us a successful species and why we live the way we live today. I've never been the most religious person, so the book offers great insight into the evolutionary process of and Darwinism, everything relating to how we are and how to concise and collective view.
So it's based off a journal by a real geisha from Japan, obviously fictionalised and dramatised, but it basically follows the life of a geisha, about how she gets sold from her family and kind of gets really involved in the life and eventually becomes like the head of one of the households and runs her own kind of geisha home. And it's really interesting because of all the controversy around the book, because the original geisha has kind of come out and said that actually you've kind of dramatised it and romanticised it way more than it used to be. But it's a really interesting insight into a different culture.